but just 35% from three after a couple years in the 40s. Howard misses that one.
Ryan Howard or Alicia Gray, I think Ryan Howard, airballs a shot to win the game late. It lands in Angel Reese's lap, and collectively the whole world said, yeah, she ain't making that. Collectively, the whole world said, oh, Angel Reese has it? Oh, and it's a layup? Yeah, she's breaking that. And lo and behold, point blank range to win the game, we get a classic Angel Reese pray-up.
Atlanta continues to own the offensive glass here in the fourth quarter. Great board.
Loser! I don't even play basketball and I would have made that shot. And even if I didn't make that shot, I'd have did something funny. You know, I'd have did something funny. Came was like, hey, let's all do this hoop code hand point.
The WNBA spotlight is heating up again, and this time, all eyes are on Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese following a tense finish that has sent social media into overdrive. A missed game-winning layup, an unexpected reaction, and what looked like a laugh from Clark quickly became the center of attention. But was Caitlin actually making fun of Reese, or did fans simply interpret the moment differently than it was intended? Today, we're breaking down exactly what happened, the reactions pouring in from fans, and why this one play has created such a huge conversation. Angel Reese had a chance to become the hero. Instead, the final moments of the game turned into a nightmare. During the showdown between the Atlanta Dream and Indiana Fever, Reese had an opportunity to deliver when it mattered most, but the ending didn't go her way. By the time the final buzzer sounded, there was no celebration waiting for her. Before we dive deeper, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel.
Clark laughing at Angel Reese after she missed a wide open layup for the win.
Quarter. Great board, just could not convert it.
Was pushed under the hoop just enough to not have a great angle.
More than 73% of viewers watching our videos still aren't subscribed. It's completely free and takes just 1 second, and your support helps us keep bringing you more WNBA stories and reactions. As Caitlin Clark walked past her with a grin on her face, the Indiana Fever were heading toward another memorable win. Meanwhile, Angel Reese could only stand underneath the basket with her hands on her head, visibly stunned by how the sequence had unfolded. This 95-minute battle had nearly everything you could ask for: big plays, missed opportunities, momentum swings, and plenty of controversy. By the following morning, the conversation had even spread beyond regular WNBA fans because the game produced so many dramatic moments. Social media immediately exploded with jokes and criticism. Some fans went after Reese relentlessly, pointing to her struggles around the rim and arguing that she couldn't convert when the pressure was highest. Others flipped the narrative completely, saying the attention should be on Clark and the way she continued producing for Indiana. Clark once again put together an impressive performance, finishing with 26 points and 9 assists while helping the Fever secure the victory. The result only added more fuel to one of the WNBA's most talked about runs.
A bag of crap. She was awful. Angel Reese was terrible. Speaking of terrible, Angel Reese never beating the allegations. This was to open the game.
With Reese leaking out, finds her.
Lee Sheet. That was awful. Wow, that was awful. One more good time. It did a... Yeah. Yikes. Holy moly.
Rivalries. But here's the important part. This wasn't simply another chapter in a personal feud between Clark and Reese. The tension actually began with what happened on the defensive end. Early in the first quarter, Reese was locked onto Clark, refusing to give her any room to operate. When Clark pulled up from deep off the dribble, Reese aggressively challenged the shot and stayed right in her space. She gave Clark everything she had on the contest, but despite the pressure, the shot still managed to get away. Even when nobody reacts in the moment, a play like that can quietly get under a defender's skin. You can execute the perfect contest, stay in position, force a difficult shot, and still watch the ball find the net. For an ultra-competitive player like Reese, who prides herself on physical defense and relentless effort, that can be frustrating. Then came the biggest moment of the night, the missed game-winning layup. Critics immediately jumped online, arguing that the opportunity was right there and that Reese simply couldn't capitalize. Others questioned the halftime commentary, claiming the broadcast discussion gave Reese more credit than her performance deserved. Reese herself appeared to acknowledge the problem during her halftime interview. Rather than making excuses, She admitted that she wasn't playing well and needed to raise her level in the second half. That honesty was one of the more positive moments of the night. And there is no denying that Reese brings real value defensively. She's an aggressive rebounder, plays with tremendous energy, and can make life difficult for opposing players. The bigger question is whether she should continue taking so many difficult shots when her offense isn't clicking. After a missed attempt sent the ball toward the baseline, Reese and Clark battled for position underneath the basket. During the scramble, Reese made contact with Clark around the upper body and neck area as both players fought for the loose ball. Clark immediately turned toward the officials, appearing to ask for a whistle. That decision quickly became another major talking point. Replays circulated online from multiple angles, with fans arguing over whether the contact was simply part of a physical rebound battle or whether Reese went too far. Because the incident happened in clear view near the basket, viewers were especially frustrated that the officials chose not to intervene. Within minutes, clips of the sequence were spreading across social media. Fans on both sides of the Clark-Reese rivalry began dissecting every frame. Some accused Reese of playing too physically, while others argued that this is exactly the kind of intense contact that can happen during a competitive rebounding battle. She continued attacking, knocking down shots from the perimeter and creating problems for Indiana's defense. One three-pointer in particular came with Reese defending, giving Clark another opportunity to showcase the offensive confidence that has made her one of the league's biggest stars. But here's where the story gets interesting. Physical gamesmanship only matters if it actually changes the outcome. On this night, it didn't seem to work in Reese's favor. Offensively, she struggled badly to find a rhythm. She missed several attempts around the basket that she normally has a strong chance of converting. After starting the game without a make, Reese eventually finished just 5 of 16 from the field. For a player known for her strength, rebounding, and finishing around the rim, that was a difficult shooting performance. Still, the box score tells a more complicated story. Reese remained active in other areas, contributing 14 rebounds and 6 assists while continuing to battle defensively. So, despite the shooting struggles, she wasn't completely absent from the game. And that's what makes this matchup so fascinating. Clark can dominate offensively, Reese can control the glass, and one controversial moment can instantly become the headline. Whether fans see it as rivalry, competitive intensity, or unnecessary physicality, one thing is certain: the Clark-Reese storyline isn't disappearing anytime soon. The physical tension between Reese and Clark may have created plenty of headlines, but it didn't translate into the result Reese needed most: points on the scoreboard. While Reese continued battling around the basket, Clark appeared completely unfazed and kept doing what she does best: making plays and keeping Indiana in control. Reese's struggles around the rim quickly became one of the biggest storylines of the night. She had multiple opportunities in the paint, but shot after shot refused to fall. Drives, spins, putbacks, even open looks from deep, nothing seemed to cooperate. And when the game reached its most critical moment, the pressure only intensified. Late in the fourth quarter, Atlanta refused to go away. Alicia Gray was putting together a huge scoring performance with 32 points, repeatedly keeping the dream within striking distance. Every time Indiana looked ready to create separation, Atlanta found another way to fight back. With the score tied at 81 and only seconds remaining, Ryan Howard launched a three that missed the front rim. A fierce battle for the offensive rebound immediately followed. Boston and Reese were tangled up underneath the basket, and somehow Reese came away with the ball. This was exactly the kind of situation Reese had been creating all night: physical battle, offensive rebound, and a chance to finish at the rim. With roughly 5 seconds remaining, Reese tried to put the ball back up, but the attempt came up short. The ball stayed alive, and Naz Hillmon got another opportunity to rescue the possession. However, Boston recovered and blocked the follow-up attempt as well. Reese had done the hard part by fighting for position and securing the rebound. But with the clock approaching 0, the final finish simply wasn't there. As Reese stood underneath the basket looking stunned, her teammates gathered around her. Meanwhile, Clark was heading back toward the Indiana bench, and cameras caught what appeared to be a grin and a brief laugh. Some viewers interpreted it as Clark laughing at Reese's missed opportunities. Others argued that Clark was simply reacting to the chaotic sequence after an exhausting game. Without knowing exactly what was going through Clark's mind, it's impossible to say with certainty what caused the reaction. The rivalry narrative instantly returned, with fans comparing the two players and replaying every major moment from the game. For supporters of Clark, The sequence looked like another example of her remaining composed while Reese struggled to finish. For Reese's supporters, the reaction was simply another reason to accuse Clark's fans of turning every moment into a personal rivalry. Regulation ended in a tie, sending both teams into overtime. At that point, fatigue was obvious, but neither side was willing to give anything away. With Indiana holding a narrow lead, Atlanta's Ryan Howard was awarded 3 free throws after officials called a foul on Clark with only seconds remaining. Indiana immediately challenged the decision, and even the broadcast commentary suggested that the call could potentially be overturned after review. Officials went to the monitor, reviewed the play, and ultimately decided to keep the foul. Howard calmly stepped to the line and knocked down all 3 free throws, suddenly cutting deeply into Indiana's advantage and giving Atlanta another opportunity to steal a game they had nearly won in regulation. Indiana responded exactly when it needed to. Atlanta was forced to foul, and Clark was sent to the free throw line with 9.8 seconds remaining. She calmly converted both attempts, pushing the Fever's lead to 95-91 and putting the game within reach of Indiana. After surviving the late-game chaos, the controversial whistle, and Atlanta's missed opportunities at the rim, Indiana walked away with the victory. Clark finished with 26 points and 9 assists, while Reese battled through a difficult shooting night but still contributed 14 rebounds and 6 assists. The numbers tell only part of the story, though. The real headline was everything that happened between those numbers: the physical battles, the missed layups, the controversial contact, the late-game drama, and Clark's reaction that sent the internet into another frenzy. Whether you see it as intense competition or another chapter in the Clark-Reese rivalry, one thing is undeniable: the spotlight isn't leaving these two anytime soon. By the end of the night, the pressure was obvious. Both teams were exhausted, emotions were running high, and every possession felt like it could decide the outcome. But beyond the jokes and social media reactions, there was a much bigger story developing. The Atlanta Dream and Indiana Fever aren't simply playing for bragging rights whenever Clark and Reese share the court. Both teams are fighting for valuable postseason positioning, which makes every win and every late-game mistake increasingly important. Atlanta entered the matchup with an opportunity to close the gap in the standings, but after failing to capitalize on a critical possession, that opportunity disappeared. Indiana, meanwhile, continued its strong stretch of basketball, adding another important win to its recent run. That's why this matchup carried far more weight than an ordinary mid-season game. Every time these teams meet, the physical intensity rises, the pressure increases, and the smallest mistake can become the defining moment. A wide-open layup is one of those plays that every basketball player wants back. Whether you're playing in youth leagues, high school, college, or professionally, missing an uncontested opportunity can be frustrating. But missing a potential game-winning layup in the final seconds? That's the kind of moment that stays with you. Even supporters who consistently defend Reese admitted that she needed to be better around the basket. Her overall stat line wasn't terrible. Reese finished with 15 points, 14 rebounds, and 6 assists, showing once again how much she contributes in multiple areas. But the shooting numbers tell a different story. She went just 5-for-16 from the field, converting only about 31% of her attempts. With the game tied and only seconds remaining, Reese had exactly the opportunity she had spent the entire game fighting to create. She secured the offensive rebound, got herself into position, and had a chance to become the player who delivered the decisive moment. That's the cruel part of sports. You can fight for position, dominate the glass, play through contact, and do almost everything right. But when the final opportunity arrives, execution is what people remember. Clark had endured her own controversial moment earlier in the game after taking contact around the neck area, yet no whistle followed. Despite that, she continued playing, stayed aggressive, and ultimately helped Indiana survive the late-game chaos. The rivalry between Clark and Reese has already produced countless debates, controversies, physical confrontations, and viral moments. But on this night, all of that noise eventually faded into the background. What mattered most was what happened underneath the basket when the clock was nearly gone. And when the final result was decided, Indiana walked away with the victory while Atlanta was left wondering what could have happened if that final attempt had dropped. That's the brutal reality of competitive basketball. Sometimes an entire game comes down to one possession, one shot, and one split-second decision. For Reese, this wasn't simply another loss. It was a missed opportunity on the biggest stage of the night, and that's exactly why fans will be talking about this finish long after the final buzzer.